In today's world, more than 1 billion people survive on less than $1 per day. Many are forced to get by on the equivalent of 50 cents per day, or less. Life at that level of income is a harrowing daily struggle. The challenges include housing that fails to protect against the elements, little or no access to health care, chronic malnutrition, illiteracy, and a powerlessness to improve one's circumstances. Of these billion at the bottom of the global economic pyramid, 70% are women, many with children they are raising on their own, children who most likely do not have the opportunity to attend school, and who are very likely to follow their parents' footsteps in severe poverty. But this kind of horrific poverty can be overcome, and over the last 2 decades, Enterprise Development International has made it possible for hundreds of thousands of desperate families in urban slums and remote villages all over the world to free themselves from poverty's tragic grip. Enterprise Development offers this life-changing hope and opportunity by providing elementary training and small amounts of capital to help establish very small businesses called micro-enterprises. These tiny businesses provide poor entrepreneurs the opportunity to support themselves through their own hard work and initiative. Azalia Guzman Sosa knows the struggles of poverty very well. Azalia lives in the southern Mexican state of Chiapas with her husband and 3 children. For years, the family subsisted on what Azalia could earn as a housekeeper at a small local hotel. Sometimes that was barely enough to keep the family clothed and fed, and it was necessary at times to forego medical care or pull the children out of school since the fees could not be paid. To increase her income, Azalia decided to start her own business. She would operate a laundry service in her home using a single small washing machine and hanging clothes on lines in a courtyard to dry. She and her husband worked 7 days a week, often from 6:30 in the morning until 9:30 at night. But no matter how hard they worked, there was little they could do to speed up the drying, especially when the weather wasn't sunny. Azalia quickly realized that her business could be much more successful if she were able to find capital to invest in new equipment and supplies. But she had no savings of her own to use. Then she heard about a local program operated by Mextra, the enterprise development partner in Mexico. Azalia became a member and soon had her first loan of 1,000 pesos, or about $90. Before long, Azalia had not only a new clothes dryer, but used rising profits to buy a second washing machine. After being in business for just 11 months, Azalia's family income had jumped to more than $20 per day. The additional income meant that Azalia's 2 older children would be able to re-enroll in school, and that her youngest daughter would in fact be able to graduate on time. Since 1985, Enterprise Development has reached out to hundreds of thousands of people like Azalia. These resourceful entrepreneurs make shoes in Egypt. They raise livestock in India. They sell flowers in Romania. They make pottery in South Africa, piñatas in Guatemala, wedding hats in Bangladesh, furniture in Mexico. They craft latrine covers in Nicaragua, sell ice and groceries in the Philippines. They raise chickens in Uganda, and undertake countless other businesses in needy communities all around the world. Evans Mapenduka, coordinator of Enterprise Development's work in sub-Saharan Africa, has seen the transforming hope that Enterprise Development makes possible.
I believe that, whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, whether we know it or we don't, when God created us, He put something of Himself inside of us. And God is love. I don't know if I can say God, is motivated by this or that or this, because God is God and nobody understands Him. But every human being who would like to be fulfilled in life must actually, show that love that Christ put in him. So when I look at, some of the clients that we're working with who sort of despondent at the beginning, before we started working with them, looking very fulfilled, happy, carrying themselves around with dignity, feeling like they can take care of their children and their families, I feel absolutely, elated. I feel so fulfilled. I don't know what to do. My fulfillment comes from seeing, the result of our work, pointing people to Christ and giving them the happiness and the joy that every human being needs, because, and also deserves because of the death of Christ, on the cross.
Today, Enterprise Development supports programs in more than a dozen developing countries, from squatter settlements outside Mexico City to rural Uganda, where hard-working adults struggle to care for some of the millions of children who have been orphaned by the HIV/AIDS pandemic. Your support of this work not only helps equip a family to support themselves, but as the capital is repaid by one client, it is lent again to another poor entrepreneur, and so it cycles through the community, helping family after family over and over. The demand for these loans and training lessons greatly surpasses the capacity of enterprise development's partners in the field. Gifts to enterprise development meet this desperate need in a way that is direct and lasting. The worldwide work of enterprise development means hope for people who have nowhere to turn. Gifts to enterprise development demonstrate God's great love for each and every person, even if they number among the poorest people in the world. Together, we can end their poverty, one family at a time.